happy and healthy altitudes to you. Hello, I'm Gary Giannetti coming to you from Healthy Altitudes, Colorado. I'm going to help you make a quick rub today that you can put on chicken, you can put on pork. It's grilling season in Colorado and in a lot of places in the world. And even if it's not grilling season, a good rub makes it real easy to flavor up your meat. There's a couple different things you can do. You can go out and you can buy some different seasonings, or you can just make your own seasoning. And it's a lot cheaper. You can make a lot more, but you can also create the flavor profile that you like. You can also add in a little bit of brown sugar as a binding agent, which is the secret ingredient to making a successful rub. And you don't need a lot, and you can't make a lot of mistakes. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna make this really fast. The cool thing about this is you don't have to measure it, but if you want to measure it, you can get crazy with your spoon. I'm gonna grab a spoon just because I'm gonna use it to stir with. But you don't really need a spoon. I added about a tablespoon of brown sugar. You can have less, you can have more. The brown sugar is a nice caramelizing agent that you can use to kind of create a nice little crust. So we've got just a little brown sugar in here. What I did was I created a pile of seasonings ahead of time. You can do the same thing. Whatever you have in your pantry can work. I'm gonna add a lot of greens to this, a lot of different flavors. The sweet herbs tend to work really well. Basil, oregano, this is parsley. I put them from here, the pile, out here to the other side. I'm gonna use a little bit of rosemary, again, just for some flavoring. Now with rosemary, crushed rosemary, it comes out in leaves like this. What you can do to try to add a little bit of flavor to it is just break it up in your fingers before you put it in the rub. You can just do this. If you have a mortar and pestle, you can mash it up. You can actually do this whole rub in a mortar and pestle. That's another nice way to create this rub. I'm just gonna mash it up with my fingers, and then I'm gonna dump that in there, grind it up a little finer. A little bit of garlic powder. Now, I like to use garlic powder separate from garlic salt, but you could also substitute if you don't have, I like garlic, so I'm gonna add a little more. Garlic is good for your heart. If you don't have the garlic salt, you can use the garlic powder. If you have garlic salt, you just have to be aware that you're not gonna need to add salt. So I'm gonna put the garlic powder aside, garlic salt, because we're not gonna use those. We used our rosemary. I'm gonna use just a little bit of sage as well. Sage is a good one. It's green. A lot of the green herbs taste really good in this. Oregano is another good green herb. Here in Colorado, a lot of people like green herbs. These are all legal green herbs, so that's the plus here. All right, so the only one that I didn't have is thyme. I never have enough thyme. It's weird. So instead, I'm going to use a little basil. That's a really nice flavor that you can put on your meat. And then the other key is paprika. I always like to add paprika. It gives it a nice little flavor. You can use smoked paprika. This is just cheap, plain old paprika. And then salt. I'm going to use salt. If you have high blood pressure or something like that, you might not want to use salt. This is just some crushed pink Himalayan sea salt. It gives it a nice little flavor profile. You can use some kosher salt. You can use some regular salt. Whatever you want to use. The big thing is just, using a little bit of that, and don't mix it up. Don't add more salt if you already used garlic salt. You don't need more, okay? So there's our salt. I just used 3 different flavors. Now here's 3 options. If you really want to kind of change the flavor profile, you can, if you like spicy, you can add in some chili pepper, you can add in some cumin, or you could add in some curry powder. These are 3 optional things, and they can really change the flavor profile of what you're trying to create. While I'm mixing this up, I'm thinking, what do I want to add? I'm going to just add a little bit of chili powder to it. Not a lot, because my family doesn't love spicy. So I'm just mixing this all up. I'm going to add in just a tiny bit, and it's not even a lot at all. It's actually just enough for that flavor profile. All right? And that's just enough that you need to add to make it taste good. You could add in some black pepper if you like that as well. I know that can give it a nice flavor too. And all I've done is just created this real simple mix. It smells delicious because of the herbs. The brown sugar is going to help create that caramelized flavor. I'm just mashing it all together so it kind of creates a nice blend. And you have enough rub here for probably about 4 pork chops, a couple chicken breasts, And the easiest way to do this is to spoon it onto your meat. And then what you don't use, you can throw in a Ziploc bag. Real easy. There's our rub. Now we've got our meat. I'm going to take out my pork chops. Now here's another quick tip about pork. If you look in your supermarket, you might find some reduced price meat. Go for the bargains. Save some money. It'll help you pay for your kids' college education, pay for a fun night out. Do whatever you can do to save some cash, all right? So we're going to take that, we're going to put that aside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rub and I'm just going to put it on the meat, but I'm going to use a spoon so I'm not contacting the meat and the rub, okay? I'm trying to purposefully keep them separate. We don't want to cross-contaminate what we're doing here for food safety reasons, okay? So I haven't really touched anything with my hands on this rub. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub this into the meat and just get it to kind of press into the meat, thus why it's called a rub, right? So now it's just so easy. You can see how fast we made our own flavored rub, and it gives it a nice profile of different flavors. And you can season this up depending on what you're going to do for your dinner. If you're going to make a couscous that's got basil in it, cool. You can add a little extra basil to your rub to make it have that same profile as what you're using for sides, right? If you're having something with rosemary in it, if you're making some sort of dish with cumin in it, if you're making a dish with curry in it, you can make a meat that goes with what you're trying to have for sides. So it's kind of neat because you don't have to just go to the store and buy what they've already made for you. You can make it what you want, and it gives it a nice flavor that people will enjoy. If you're grilling, it personalizes your grilling meal, and it makes it taste delicious, and it can go with whatever you're making. So real simple, real quick, and you didn't even have to drive to the store to buy it. It's that easy. And so I used just about a tablespoon of brown sugar, and I used, as you saw, a pinch of all those herbs. And now you can see here, I've got 4 pork chops that are boneless, sliced up pork chops. And it's as easy as that. I just used up all the rub, right? And now if I had extra, what I would do is I would just go in and I would put it in a Ziploc bag, and it'll probably last about 6 months in your fridge or in your pantry. I'm sorry, put it in the pantry. You can put it in the fridge too. The big thing is you want to keep it airtight so that it can keep its flavor. So now we've got 4 pork chops seasoned up, ready to go on the grill. We'll grill them to an internal temperature of about 160 degrees. And you can use a meat thermometer to check that. I'm going to wash my hands before I do anything else because we don't want to cross-contaminate. And now we've got some amazing pork chops to go on the grill, and it's just making my mouth water already. So I hope that this helps you find a way to make a rub real simple, real cheap, real affordable. It's easier than you think, and you can't make mistakes. And even if you don't have time, which I didn't have today, it tastes good with this recipe, but I didn't have time, so I just threw it together fast, and it actually saved me time because I don't have to drive to the supermarket to go buy it. I hope that this helps you eat well for your life.